Hey friend, welcome to the treehouse. Want to come inside? Oh, wait, just one last thing. All right, let's go inside. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome everyone to Frame by Frame. Phil here, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week in life, in your photography journey. And I'm just so excited to be here with you live. Pop a chat in if you are watching live. I see a couple people. Thomas, what's up, Thomas? How's it going? Suzanne, CMMB Snyder, 55, what's up? Hello, everyone. Just having a good week here. Hope you're excited. Today, we've got some great stuff. If you are watching this and you are not a part of Photography and Friends, our free community, go ahead and join that at photographyandfriends.com. That's where these weekly challenges take place. And now is a great time to join because we got a ton of people in there, a ton of stuff going on, and it's just really exciting to see it continuing to grow. Hello, Arthur. Brian, what's up? Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. Barbara, if you are brand new here too, let me know in the chat. And also right now, post, what camera are you using? It's like classic photography live stream question, but I want to know what everyone's using. Got a quick couple updates. So today's the Minimalism Challenge reviews. That's coming up. I am doing an AI for photography course. That should be coming out next week. I've mentioned it the past couple weeks. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is not a course on how to make photos, generate photos with AI. That's not what this is about. This is about using the tools that are in apps like Lightroom, Photoshop, but also other ones, Luminar Neo, these other ones where they have AI tools such as things like better masking, things that help you cull photos faster, things like removing distractions, and all kinds of other tools, all that stuff that can help you stay authentic to your photography, but using the tools that are out there and are taking over the tools that we all use to edit our photos and organize photos, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Also, it's March and our new supporters spaces are live in the community. So big shout out to all of our supporters, 34 supporters. Last week we were at 28, this week 34. So thank you for joining and becoming a supporter. This is a paid upgrade to the free membership, $5 a month. You get access to all kinds of stuff, including, let me show you what we're doing. We've got our monthly exercise that just started. This first month is on composition. So there's inspiration in there, a free course, a bunch of stuff in there. We're going to start a Let's Edit a Photo series where every month I'm going to take one of your photos that you submit and edit it. And then everyone else also will have the ability to edit it. We can see how everyone edits photos and gets creative with it. There's a new supporter chat space where it's more of like a live, you can see it here, kind of a live like Slack space, lounge, and a photographer's showcase where we're going to be featuring photographers in the supporters with the world. So if you are a supporter, make sure that you submit your photos to the Let's Edit a Photo. Also, nominate someone to be featured. I think we only have one nomination so far. It's anonymous, so you can definitely nominate yourself as well. But anyways, without further ado, just again, thank you to all of our supporters. You keep the lights on here in the community and help it to grow. We are going to be getting to the Minimalism Challenge, but looks like we've got some great cameras. Thomas with the A74, A7 IV, Brian with the 5D Mark IV. That is such a classic, amazing camera. Sony 6400 with Suzanne. Lori, what's up? Hello. Katarina, Fujifilm X-T30 Mark III. Nice camera. New here too. Big shout out, everyone. Say hi to Katarina. First time viewer. Welcome. So every week, I'm doing this show to review your photos to help provide feedback. And the way that I do it is I try to give each photo one or two things I like about it, one or two things that could be improved, and then I give it an overall score of 1 through 5. 5 being a photo that just really stands out, blows my mind, is something that stands out to me. And then 3 is like you did the challenge, the photo looks in focus, it's composed pretty well, not too many critiques. So solid job. And then if there's stuff where I feel like it didn't fit the challenge or focus is off or the composition is just super lacking, then that's where you'll get like a 1 or 2 stars. And I do that because I want to be helpful. I hate being critical, but this is practice for myself to be more critical and help people out because I know that's what you're here for. Arthur, welcome. Celeste, hello. Lots of people here live today. Very exciting. So we are going to get into it. And I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. I'm just getting my screen going. I'm going to do something a little bit different, which is I'm going to go backwards. Usually I go from the oldest photos being posted to the newest ones. My computer is being slow today. But I'm going to go backwards today. So, and again, with this challenge, what I'm basically looking for is minimalism. I'm looking for a very clean shot with not a lot going on, but what has to be going on is something of interest, something intriguing that catches my eye, and whether that's the subject or even the background. That's what I'm looking for. So let's scroll all the way down. Whoa, we got a lot of photos today. So I'm I say this every week, but I have got to do kind of a speedy round for all of these. So with that sip of coffee, I hope you're all, enjoying your day. Grab your coffee, grab your glass of wine, grab your water, whatever you need. We're going to start out with Phyllis Fox to lead us off with this very minimal photo. Got this, what are those called? Not paragliding. Kite surfing? No, I don't know what that's called, but very minimal. So this really hits minimalism very well. I like that. The crop is super tall. It's kind of really, really tall and skinny, which is a creative thing. The sun is there. I almost wish the sun was not there because it's kind of takes away from the other main subject, which is the people in the sky and these colorful kite things, parachute things, paragliding. And our eye is drawn to whatever's brightest in your photos. And so I almost wish you had framed it up somehow without the sun or even cropped it out. I would also bring down the highlights or use a mask or something like an object select mask, which is an amazing AI powered tool where you can just literally click and drag over one of your objects and it selects that, masks it, and then just bring down the exposure so that those colors can pop really well. I think starting out, this is a good benchmark. I'm going to give you a 3. And solid minimalistic photo. Probably would have cropped out the sun so that the focus could be a bit more on, I think, what's more interesting in the photo, which are these like kites and people. Wow, we got another photo very similar. So this is a photo by Hayden. Shout out Hayden. Welcome. And hello everyone here that's new and joining us live. Very, very minimal. Lots of negative space, which I love. The negative space works well for a minimal photo. And this one, you can automatically tell that your eye is more drawn to the actual subject of the photo, which is this guy parachuting, paragliding, flying with a big American flag, which is pretty cool. I would probably have tried to boost the exposure just a little bit here. You can tell they're kind of in a shadow, but it's a tiny bit dark. But otherwise, I love the sort of rule of thirds look of this photo. And the composition's very clean, very minimal. And I'm going to give you 4 because it's just a nice, pleasing photo to look at. Yeah, good job. Nice job, Hayden. All right, next we've got Priya. Priya, were you the one that also did a lens ball? No, this isn't a lens ball. This is a marble. We had a lens ball shot last time, which was pretty cool. This is pretty neat. I think it's pretty minimal, not a lot of colors. And again, when you're thinking about minimalism, it could be things like minimal colors, minimal textures. You just don't want a lot of distractions and things going on, like a lot going on. And I think this does pretty good job at that. And the lighting is pretty good too. I almost want more negative space and to have this marble be smaller, because the closer up you are to the marble, you realize there's a lot going on with like the bubbles and the textures inside the marble, but still pretty good job. Focus is solid. The one other critique I would have is it's so close to being centered vertically that I would crop in just so that the space on the top and bottom is exactly right. But otherwise, really solid photo. Completion of the challenge, 3 stars for me. Next, we got Diana V. Afternoon snack, nothing fancy, just keeping it minimal and playing with color harmony. Really nice food photography shot with natural lighting. Great composition of the fruit. I like having the multiple textures on there. And if this was a food challenge, I think it would be like really, really good. Minimalism, it is somewhat minimal. Yeah, don't got a lot of textures. It's not as minimal as the other photos that we've seen, but still pretty minimal. I probably would play with the white balance just a little bit because the kiwi colors look a little bit like muted or something, or yellowy. And maybe that's what it looks like, but I feel like everything's a little cool, so warming it up might make that green pop a bit more. I think for this challenge, I could have appreciated something where it was like literally just the kiwi by itself, or even like a macro shot of just the kiwi, something just with less in it. I don't know. I put this one up to you guys in the comments because I have my opinions about what minimalism means, and you probably do too. So let me know and let everyone know in the chat what you think, if this is minimal or not. It's such a nice shot that I'm still gonna give it a 3 because it's in focus. The shallow depth of field is like really nice, and the focus is exactly where it needs to be. But yeah, I got a question. See, when does the video begin? Not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, if you have a follow-up, must be out taking photos. Huh. Not sure. Everyone can see and hear me, right? Maybe refresh. All right, next we've got Mirella. And shout out for Mirella being a supporter. Thank you. Okay, we got this photo of a flower. Very interesting. I dig the centering. I dig the minimal style. I wish, and this is probably, I don't know if this is like on the floor or something, I wish this line in the floor, the seam, was not there. I feel like that's so distracting from me from like everything else being like super minimal. Color balance wise, I have a feeling that the petals are white and it still feels like this is a little green or blue or something like that. Maybe that's a style thing, but I would play with the white balance to make that more white. And this is also one of those things you could probably select this and remove that using like the distraction removal tool in Lightroom if you have Lightroom. But otherwise, I probably would have set the flower just in the middle of one of these boards, maybe, and not had the line. Maybe it was like a creative choice though to do that with the stem in the background along this line. And the vignette is nice. I feel like the vignette's a little harsh. I don't know if it's like overly done, but it does draw our attention into the middle of the photo, which is nice. Couple little editing things here. A super solid photo, focus wise, perfect centering. And for that, I'm gonna give it a three stars. So yeah, pretty solid. Wow, we got 31 people here live today. That's incredible. Thank you for being here. If you are new here, let us know in the chat. Also, if you submitted a photo for this challenge, let me know in the chat so I know you are here live with us. Next, we've got Varushka with the lunar eclipse. Nice, super minimal. Love it. I like that the moon kind of fades into the darkness. It's hard to see based off of the way that the photo appears on the platform, like the details of it, but still it's nice, and the exposure and contrast is nice. You blackened out the rest of the sky and it makes that moon pop. Who knows what I am going to say next though. my only critique, the watermark. Like I just am covering it up with my hand because I don't want to see that watermark when I'm trying to appreciate this photo, because it's such a cool photo. And in terms of like minimalism and the size of the positive space versus the negative space, positive space being like the subject, I think this is a very, very nice balance. Celeste was correct. The watermark, you know me well. But regardless, this one stands out as like a very nice balance, super solid photo. So four stars from me. Thank you for sharing. Michelle, minimal statue. Ooh, that's cool. Very solid. Nice colors, nice sky, nice negative space. Don't have a lot of critiques other than there's like a little bit of land at the bottom. You probably didn't even see that when you're editing this or taking it, but crop that out. You can really just see that when you have it on like a white background. Subject wise, it's pretty interesting. I almost want like a little bit more contrast. I think you could probably boost the contrast a bit just to create a little more silhouetting with the background so that it doesn't like fade into the background as much, so it stands out. I don't know if there's something about the last one of the moon that like subject wise, I don't know if it's more interesting to me or just like the balance of like it centering, and that's why I gave it a 4. And I'm still gonna give this one a 3, leaning towards a 4, because it's there's no real other critique for me other than just like maybe like seeing the back of this statue is not as interesting to me. I say this all the time, and it's something that I fall into too. When you're out traveling, going around, it's sometimes hard to find something to take a photo of. And to me, photos of other people's art is generally not as interesting to me. And that's just a personal thing. So like photos of statues, photos of paintings, photos of graffiti, that to me is not interesting, but I don't want that to take away from this photo because it's composed really well. And for minimalism, it's like pretty spot on for this challenge. Varushka, you are here. Okay, yes, Varushka. Sorry, it's just such a personal thing about the watermark. All right, Katarina, here we go. Ooh, this is a very different minimal vibe. It's so different than the others, which I think there's like a difference between strictly minimalism and negative space versus minimalism and something like this, which has a lot going on, but because the color edit is really good, the coloring and the saturation, it feels very minimal. And I think I love like that about this, the exposures, the colors. There might have been a way to make it feel a little more minimal if even just like a little bit of a tilt up, maybe giving it a little bit more negative space on the left. But like maybe having the crop line be a little bit higher and there's a lot of like shapes and stuff going on right around here, the bottom of the table, and just getting rid of a little bit of that I think would have added to the minimalism. But overall, I think this one like stands out to me because it's like a little bit different in terms of the quality, just the subject matter. So I'm going to give you a 4-star. If you are here live, post comments and let people know what you think about their photos. If you're watching the review of this on YouTube, you can turn on live comments and see what other people are talking about your photo if you submitted one. All right, Mubin. Mubin, I think, had another, was it Mubin or someone else had another photo of this cool museum, the Broad Museum in Los Angeles. If you're ever in Los Angeles, check it out. I believe it's still free. Lots of cool art. And the exterior is really cool. I was out there for season 1, episode 1 of Photo Dash, and the same building ended up in one of my photos that I took. I love so much about this. The shapes, even though there's a lot going on, it does feel minimal because there's like, it's just like ends up being a pattern. I really wish it was just like cropped in or something where it might not, I don't know if the quality of the photo would allow this, but literally just a crop of like the building with this person walking by. I do not like this fence that's in front of the person, unfortunately. I don't know if they were like doing construction, just keeping people off the grass or something. But I love the idea of this photo, especially if it was just this big photo with a person walking by. I think the person walking by makes it work. Without the person, still would have worked, but not as intriguing. But for this photo itself, I probably would do a couple things. I would still crop in, get rid of the sky and probably the shadow on the left-hand side, straighten out level it out to the pathway rather than like it feels kind of tilted. Level it out to like these lines or the sidewalk. I think it's a 3 for me still. Lots of 3s today. But it's like close to being like a 2 or a 5 as well. Like I think depending on the crop and composition, this could have been a 5 for me. And a couple other things like the tree being there, the different colors. When there's so many different things to look at, it feels not as minimal to me. So it's on the verge of like dropping down, but overall still a cool subject to use. All right, next we've got Varushka. Let's see. Nice, lovely flower with the water droplets. What do I think about this photo? Again, I feel like this is one it's very close to like standing out to me. I think what I don't like is that the petals in the front cover part of the flower and are out of focus. It kind of I think the focus is the biggest issue for me. And I think the focus is landing on maybe this little area right here, but it's so shallow that like even the petals and the water droplets over here are a little out of focus. And this being out of focus, I feel like I almost want to just be like cropped into just like one of these petals, or like part of this here with the background out of focus, which would be fine, but just really tight on a few of these petals. But still, it's like pretty. I think it's just the focus. It's hard for me to see what's in focus because it's a little bit. There's so much out of focus, if that makes sense. Like if there was just a little bit of something in focus, but that's all that was in the frame, I think that would be fine. But because all of this petal, this plane is like, I want it to be in focus, I think that a bigger aperture would have, or a higher f-stop would have helped just a tiny bit. Colors are fun though. Maybe it's even just like moving these petals out of the way, so it's just kind of like a flat look at the flower. I think I'm being kind of overly critical though, because it's pretty close and the minimalism is there with just like the clean background, just the flowers, the two colors. So I'm gonna give it a 3 still. I think it's hard that the focus issues don't come across on the live stream as much as I can kind of see them when it's zoomed in on my computer. All right, next we got Ira. Another version of minimalism that's pretty cool, with the black and white, with the simple like edges of the laptop and the glasses, maybe like a cup or something like that. It's kind of dark. I think that was the vibe you were going for, but I feel like it's a little too dark. It feels like it could be something like that's the background of a website or something, which would be cool like as a stock photo, but and I also feel like maybe for this, since it's kind of like a flat lay photo where you're looking down at something, I want it all to be in focus as well. So the glasses as well as the texture and the laptop just have everything in focus. Oh, it's a 3-day. It's a 3-day. It's just 3s across the board. I think you you fulfilled the challenge to me, but a couple little things, tweaks, exposure wise, focus, I think would have pushed it higher for me. All right, next we've got Alex. Ooh, this is cool. What I like about this is that you're taking something that you know is a much more complicated figure or shape, but you're photographing it in a way that is minimalistic. So you have like the Porsche, and I don't know if this is like part of the hood or what, but you have just a very clean lines, and the centering is really cool too. Simple colors, simple shapes, and it's, like I said, very centered and symmetrical, which I think adds to that minimalism. So for me, this one stands out pretty well. I'm gonna give it a 4. Could be leaning towards a 5 as well. Just solid, great sort of photo that I could see being a part of like a magazine spread with this photo, and then like a wider shot of the whole photo, the whole car. All right, next we've got Rain. Interesting golf ball. Looks like the golf ball is on top of like a putting green or something with some plant debris. I like the idea of the golf ball being there. It's pretty minimal. I think that there's a lot going on with like the debris, the leaves, the flowers in the background that kind of take away from the minimalism. And I think, again, if we think back towards and I have to say it, all this is my opinion. Other people are going to say this is a 5-star photo. Other people are going to say this is a 1-star photo to them. So take what I say as you would like. But for me, I like that photo of like where the positive space is a little bit smaller, not just for the negative space aspect of it, but because it creates that minimalism. And so for this photo, just having the golf ball be a little smaller in the frame would have been helpful. Alternatively, I actually like the minimalism of the dimples that you have in the ball, the little bit of text, but I think what ruins it is like the background being so distracting with like a lot going on. And so if this was like on a clean putting green, I think that would have been even better. But that being said, focus is on there. I kind of like the balance of like the positioning on the bottom half, and not choosing not to have it centered is like going against the grain, and I actually appreciate that. And yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 3. I got a comment. Lori says maybe we should be able to vote 2 separately. I love that idea. Yeah, I wish I could set that up easily. It's way too complicated for the system that I'm using to like have votes for each and every photo, but I do love that idea. All right, next we've got, this is a photo from Jess, the fairy on the door. Cool, like nice, simple, clean background. I like the shadow that you get from a light source that's coming from the right side of the frame. I think similarly, the only thing that would make this more minimal for me is more space around our subject, less positive space, or being like even like creatively abstract and being like super tight on like one part of this. Like even if it's just like part of the fairy and the shadow, or just like part of the face and part of the hand or something. That could have been creative. Right now, I don't know if like most people would look at this photo and be like, oh, that's a really minimal photo. Because there's still a lot going on. I think because of like, there's a lot of shape, there's a lot of different exposures going on, a lot of different things. But I like the black and white edit, and that makes it more minimal. It's like kind of like a silhouette, which is minimal. So you completed the challenge. I've got to give more like 1s and 5s today. I got to get the spread going. All right, Eric. Let's see. Eric here. Eric, I think you are a supporter, and I got to check and make sure you get your supporter badge. So this is really cool because we've got like a very minimal background, but still textures and colors, but still it's minimal. I feel like I need to rotate my head because the ant is crooked, and that's probably just how it was photographing this, but because it's like natural, I think as like a human to see like an animal or something with legs and a head, to like want that to be vertical, I kind of wish this photo was rotated. And regardless of the rotation though, I kind of wish that you brought the exposure up of the ant itself, or at least this area of the photo, just to make it a little bit brighter. But that being said, I really like this as a minimal photo. The subject, like the main focus, is very small. It's not that complicated. And then the background is also not very complicated at all, in the sense that it's not distracting, but there's a lot of cool textures and colors that give it a little bit more depth than just like a blank wall or just one color. So I think a rotation and a little exposure adjustment would have pushed this to a 5 for me, but I'm going to give it a 4 without those little things that I would have done. Thanks, Eric. All right, next we've got Paul. Paul had an amazing photo I'm still thinking about it. Amazing photo from the In a Mirror challenge. This is very cool. I'm like, dude, my gut is like, kid, be careful. You're going to fall back on that chair. Don't stand like that. But very creative in the use of like a minimal setup. I'm not sure if this was like edited to have like a blank background or if you have like a white sort of background that you can photograph on this. I appreciate also the minimalist flat edit. Like having more contrast could have made it feel like less minimal. So like having like a very, for this photo, having like minimal contrast, very bright blacks and bright darks, and not that much contrast looks really good. And there's like this story behind it. Like, I don't know what you look at this photo and what story you feel is, but just like this kid on this chair trying to stand taller, trying to be taller than they are or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, very minimal. I do want the kid, like Celeste says, to get off the chair. But this one, creativeness wise, like I'm kind of like, man, I don't want to give Paul another 5 stars, just, but it's good. So this one to me is the first one that like really blows me away. So really good job. All right, next we've got Barbara. Gazebo in the Mist. Ooh, this is a nice one, Barbara. What I like about this is that you know that there's like stuff underneath this frame, and framing that up would make this not a minimal photo. And I think for this subject, the choice to do the negative space is the only option to make this a minimalistic photo. So great centering, great contrast and exposure, very well balanced, and black and white I think helps too with the minimalistic vibe. So this one, I mean, it's, you know me, if you've followed me for a while, this sort of negative spacey look is my jam. And what I like about the photos so far is that we have some that are negative space and some that aren't, but they are all still minimal. And I don't want this challenge to just be a negative space photo, but negative space is inherently minimal. So that one works really well for me. All right. Next, we've got Ian. Ian with this self-portrait. Is it minimal? Does this fit into the challenge? I'm trying to put my mind inside Ian's mind and think, okay, what was I thinking with this being a minimal photo? There is minimalism, I think, in the sense that the background's clean, it's out of focus, so you're not distracted by it, and there's not a ton of color. I think you could have pushed into the minimalistic vibe with maybe a different beanie color, like having just like one color, wearing one color. You're pushed over to the edge, which I think works a bit well for minimalism as well, with like more negative space. But it does not stand out to me as something minimal. I think you could have got more creative with it by like being even smaller in the frame somehow, or even like something super creative, like just like have your like half your face or something in the frame on the side. Something creative minimally. I think I'm going to give you a 2. It's not a bad photo. I think just for me, it just doesn't fit this challenge that well. All right, next we've got Rosemarie, who's a supporter, so shout out. Ooh, Rosemarie, going after my heart and soul with the negative space. We got the silhouetted weather vane, which is really cool, and a little bit of texture in the sky, which I like. Just a blue sky would have worked. It would have been cool, but the fact that there were clouds and just a little bit of texture, I think, adds a lot to this. And it's just, yeah, again, I think minimal negative space looks really good, and it's a quick 4-star for me. I think the only reason it's not a 5 is like the story or the subject, the thing that's in it isn't like so eye-catching and intriguing, but it's like for what it is, it's really, really good. And I don't have any like critiques of like edit or anything for this photo. So one of your best submissions to a challenge. Really, really good job. All right, next we've got Nadege, the Lion's Mound in Waterloo, Belgium. Interesting, cool. Nice. I like the minimal shape of it. It's actually really cool. I think the quality of the upload is hard for me to I'm going to look past that because I feel like it's just the quality of the upload where I'm seeing a little bit of like pixelation in the people and the details. I think if this was like a full quality image and you still saw like the staircase with the handrail and the lion, I think it's really cool. Yeah, I actually really dig this photo. I like the shadow. Part of me is like, oh, do I want it centered? Do I want like this hill to be centered in the frame? But there's something about it being off balance that I think works well. Off to the side, especially with the color of the sun shining on this hill and the background. Simple shape. It would be hard to know this is a lion necessarily without that comment. I wouldn't have known. Maybe I could have guessed that was a lion, but still really, really cool photo. I think this one again also is a 4-star for me. Cool photo. All right, next we've got Ragul. Photo from India, captured going out. I can feel its loneliness. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I love the idea of like a lone tree standing amongst nothing, and that can for sure give off that feeling of loneliness. I think to get that like feeling and to take that photo perfectly, we would probably want to angle out or crop out this photo in the bottom right. Maybe even just like bringing the camera down so that this full tree like pops up above the horizon line to put it in more negative space. And I don't know if it's just the quality of the photo or the camera you're using, but you're getting a lot of like extremely overexposed sky that if that wasn't editing, I would bring that down. If you had a raw image, I would bring that down just to get a little information in the sky so it's not completely white, but have like a nice blue in the background. Honestly, like this photo, I kind of wish you just cropped the horizon out and just had the top of the tree in the sky. I think that would have felt even more minimal for me. But it's in focus. The centering down at the bottom is like such a classic composition that people like nowadays, especially with the phone. I say classic, but like that centering of a subject down at the bottom of a photo frame, that was not a very popular composition until it was a creative one, but until we all had smartphones where we can just like have a nice vertical photo with a subject at the bottom. This was not like something back in the day where you were learning that is a nice composition, put your subject right in the middle at the bottom of the center of the frame. That was not something we were like told to do. But now it's like we're all so used to that kind of composition that I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, cropping on the tree on the right, like Dragon said. I'm going to give it a 3, though, still. All right, next we've got Lori. No comment on this photo. And I have no clue what I'm looking at, but it is minimal. It's like an abstract painting, no shapes, no context. I don't know what this is. It looks like I'm on the moon or something with like a crater or something. But it is minimal, and I don't really have any critique because it's so abstract. And I mean, it is minimal, so I'm gonna give it a 3. In terms of like abstract painting, maybe it's a 4 even, because it's creative. I don't know. Oh, 2 sepia mounds. I don't know what that even means. But yeah. Anyways, it's a good shot. It's a minimal shot with the colors and the shapes. So yeah, good submission. All right, Cole here. An attempt was made. All right, Cole. What do I like about this photo? I like the clean lines, vertical lines. That's great, composition-wise. I don't think this is a minimal photo. There's just too much going on in terms of the lines of the windows, the walls, the plants in the background. I think you could have actually framed it up where it was just kind of tight on the shutter and maybe this wall with a couple of the vines going up it. That would have actually worked pretty well for minimal, or just the wall paneling with the vines in the background. That would have been minimal. But for this photo, to me, it's just, I mean, I guess in a sense it's minimal. Like it's just like the wall and the window. But I think I want something more creative and interesting to look at. If this is somewhere where you live or you go, play around with just taking a photo of just the paneling with the vines and post it to the comments of your photo so that I can check it out. I just want to see if what I'm imagining would work. I'm going to give you a 2. I almost was going to give you a 1, but I think I'm going to give you a 2 because it's focus. I like the straight line, vertical lines. And I can see a little bit of the thought process of this being minimal, but I think mostly it's the background that I think is so distracting. And also on top of that, I think it's a little dark. I would boost the contrast. I think because you probably capture this, looks like after sunset, there's not a lot of light. I would want like probably more light and super flat light to be minimal. All right, let's see. We got Celeste with her miniatures. I dig it. I dig the texture. I dig the little miniature car. There's not a lot going on, so I think it fits that. It almost looks like this car is chugging up this hill. I don't know if that's what you're trying to do, but make the texture of the background look like a hill that the car is going up. Yeah, I think it works. And the lighting's cool. I think for this challenge, like, I could have gone with a little bit more of just like flat lighting for this exact photo. Rosemary also agrees. I like how you placed the car. Yeah, that's cool. I like the putting it in the rule of thirds kind of spot down in the bottom left. But I think for like a minimalistic photo, I could have gone for like flat lighting, like light it from both sides, not have a lot of shadows or contrast with the car, maybe even drop back on the vignette. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, vignetting, to have more of like a flat look. That being said, the lighting does help like really showcase the shapes and contrast of the car, which is nice. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. If I do a 3 and a 4 at the same time, that means 3.5. All right. I feel like we need a little bit of we got a lot more photos to get through, but I feel like we need a little bit of a wiggle break or something. I'm gonna actually show you. Can I show you my photo that I was thinking I should submit to this? And then you could critique me. Let me open this up. This is a photo I took yesterday. And can I just open this up in? Oh, there we go. But now I have to go back and open up all those photos. This is a photo I shot yesterday at the Botanic Gardens, and I thought it would work really well for minimalism. I was going for I wasn't actually thinking about this challenge for this photo initially, but all this beautiful light was shining through this little field of all these little flowers. And I didn't have my macro lens on, but I had my long telephoto zoom lens, and it was really hard to get focus. But what I liked about it is that it has color and textures in the foreground background of the different flowers, but I tried to not have it be too distracting. What I don't like is there's a couple highlights on the left and right, or on the left and the top. Those highlights, those white spots, are a little bit distracting from the main subject. But yeah, tried to get a minimal shot myself. This, I think, would go really well printed out in my room with some of my other flower photos. All right. Now we have to go back. And are these all open still? Okay, they are. Okay, let's go down, scroll down to, where was I? We got a lot to get through. All right. Wow. We're scrolling down. We're going. We're still going. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's where we are. All right. Let's do it, folks. Let's do it. How's everyone doing? Still with me? Margarita. All right, let's do it. We're doing it. All right. Clean, minimal photo, like the contrast, super negative space. I would crop out this little wire right here and maybe just have cropped it to one of these birds, maybe the two, but just crop out that wire. I think would have made it better. Still 3 stars, good, solid, minimal photo. All right, next we got Rita. Ooh, love it. Cool, black and white, kind of adds to the minimalism. Even though there's a lot going on in terms of it's not super negative space, very minimal still. The main thing I would do is straighten out that horizon line right here, the horizon line right there. I don't know. I would play with that. This is one of those photos because they're sitting on this log. There's also the waves. There's the clouds. There's the line of the sand right here. It's one of those ones where you're like, which one do I use to straighten out the photo? I think naturally most people would feel more balanced and minimal if that horizon line was, but otherwise, I think very solid photo. And storytelling wise, I think it works well too. Just to have the two people there, you don't know, are they just resting calmly? Are they fighting? Are they, I don't know, thinking about something sad? Or maybe it's just a peaceful moment. I don't know. There's a lot of intrigue in there. All right, Hong Wang with this mountaintop. Pretty minimal. I kind of want a little bit more minimalism with maybe just seeing the top of the mountain and the sky. I think this is for a minimalism challenge. I don't necessarily want those foreground objects because it just adds something into the frame that takes away from the minimalism. but still like a lot of negative space, which is nice. I don't know. I think maybe yeah, I guess it's a 3. Yeah. It Hong, I'll be completely honest, it doesn't stand out like what a lot of your other photos have stood out, the way that they've stood out to me in these challenges. Ooh, Brian, really cool photo. Man, that's good. The sharpness on the ducks is really good. I can tell you probably edited those ducks separately to get that contrast, to get the exposure and the sharpness and colors just right, as well as the background being just really just a nice sort of background that the ducks pop off of, but very minimal. This one, not just because of the birds, I would probably give it a 5, regardless if it was birds or not. I know the difficulty in taking these photos. Yeah, really, really good job, Brian. Glad to have you back as well. All right, next we've got Paul. Another bird photo. And another really solid photo. Yeah, exposure's good. I like the colors in this one. I like that the bird stands out from the background really well. I almost wish it was cropped in more, or even just in post, you blurred out some of these branches over here with like a linear gradient or something, because they are a little distracting from our little birdie here. I think you could have even used like a subject or object or just some sort of mask to add a little bit more exposure. And what I mean by that is brighten it up just a tiny bit on our subject. Yeah, but still really good. I'm gonna give you a 4, because it's a nice photo, nice subject, nice background. Yeah, great job. All right, next we've got Anita. Anita with this photo. Is this a true minimal? I chose a simple subject. I was trying to see if you like edited it into this frame, or if that was like you were taking a photo of like a print that you actually have framed. I really love the minimalism. It does work really well, just that fence. The quality of the upload is so low that it's hard to appreciate how actually good I think this photo is, because it's super pixelated. I kind of wish I didn't see these bushes or trees in the background. I think that would add to the minimalism, just to have like maybe this hill of snow with the horizon. I don't know if you could have got that by putting the camera lower at all. But obviously those trees or whatever those are there. Yeah, I think the only reason I'm giving it a 3 is because the quality, the pixelation is not there, but that's not your fault. I think for the photo itself, it's a 4 for me. I just need a higher resolution photo to really be able to appreciate it. And I would remove the watermark too. All right, next we've got Florian. What is this? Is that like a building? I cannot even tell what that is. It's kind of abstract. Oh, is it like the front of like a crane or something? What is going on here? It is minimalist. It's very industrial, and I like that. And part of me doesn't even need to know what it is to appreciate that it's got like these cool shapes. I like the muted, desaturated colors. And I kind of like the abstractness of it. So I'm going to give it a 4. I don't really have any edits. Pioneers Pier. Oh, it's a pier. Oh, it's probably like a lookout point. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a creative photo of that. Very minimal to just focus on the very end of that. All right, next we have Ileana, Chasing City Lights. Ooh, I love this. Very simple, very minimal. the dog being there adds to it, but doesn't like distract or make this like a non-minimalistic photo. The focus is really good, getting all of these peers, at least the first few, in focus, as well as the dog. Nice up and down, nice horizon line. Super simple, but artistic. And I actually, really like this photo. So I would give this one a 5. I like that. I might have tried to give it a little bit more room on the left side of this, just to have like a little more breathing room, negative space on the left side of this first post. I actually feel like even cropping that post out would be helpful as well, and still be pretty minimal, but just a tiny bit tighter on the dog. But still, really solid photo. I like it. All right, Mateo. Wow, we're getting into some, like, I don't know what, but these photos are like really cool. I love this photo. I think, like, when I think of a minimal photo, I think a photo that like you could imagine being printed out huge, but there's still not a lot going on. That just makes it like a fun photo to look at. And I like that this is like, I mean, this is super minimal. We got this hill with like one tree, one little bench. The sky in the background is like completely just blank. And for this photo, I don't mind. I don't want the sky to have like a lot of dynamic clouds or a sunset or something like that. I really like that it's just kind of completely blank. You still have a bit of something there in terms of exposure because it's not like pure white, which I think works well. But 5 stars for me. No notes. That's the 5-star for me. That no notes. Just really cool framing. All right, next we got Anya. I thought to put a spin on minimalism, capturing a homeless man in based South Africa, showing a minimal way of living. So totally different take on minimalism. I think that that's an interesting idea that you could have, you kind of did, but you could push further with like photographing them in a more minimal way. The photo itself is pretty good. The focus is slightly off, I think. Yeah, I think the focus is slightly off. I think the focus lands right about here on this walkway, and your man and his clothes and his belonging are a little bit out of focus. So focus wise is a little off. But there's still, I think that for this challenge, I get what you're going for. I still wish that you maybe pushed yourself to photograph this scene, this person, him, in a way that was more minimal. I mean, it's pretty minimal actually, but I think that missed focus turns it from something that's like maybe like a 3 or 4 to I'm gonna give it a 2, because I think for this challenge, my interpretation of the challenge, which is different than what other people might think this is a 4 or 5-star photo, is just wanting a photo that appears minimal. Yeah. I'm reading a comment. Lori says, yeah, my question was in response to Phil. I was so impressed with the clarity. Oh, I don't know. You guys are talking in the chat, hanging out. That's great. If you have a question for me, though, let me know. All right. Next, we've got Sandra. This is a really cool photo because you got lots of leading lines, contrast, shadows. It's fairly minimal. I think that I almost want it to be more minimal, and maybe like cropping here might make it feel, or framing up here without seeing in this one archway would make it feel like more minimal. that being said, like, it's a really cool photo. I'm trying to like judge it based off of not just the fact that this is a really cool photo with the shadows, the leading lines, the contrast, but also for this being the minimal challenge. I think maybe for the minimal challenge, I would have probably decreased the contrast a bit just to make it look a little less contrasty. Yeah, I don't know what you all think about this photo, if it works perfect for minimalism or not. I mean, it's pretty minimal. There's not a lot going on. And if you do put a watermark, this is how I want to see that watermark. Not distracting at all down there. I think I'll give it a 4 because just, again, looking at this photo, it's very dynamic. I'm on the fence of whether this is like totally minimal or not. I almost think like a crop of just like the shadows at the bottom with a hint of like the posts on the top and right could have been even a cool, like, more creative, abstract, minimal way to photograph this long scene. All right, Idale got this photo of the statue of, looks like, Mary and Jesus. I don't know if it's minimal for me. I get it that it's a little bit of a minimal lighting, the background, it's clean, but I think to photograph it in a more minimal way, you could have used like negative space or cropped out the flowers at the bottom, like tilted up to the side or something. I also think that I kind of appreciate the minimal lighting, but it's so dark that like you need to be able to see something in the photo to like have it be eye-catching. Lori loves this photo though. And so to each their own, I guess. People are going to love the photo. Some people. I feel like for me though, I think that like cropping it and then maybe like exposing a little brighter to get a little bit in the highlights of information. Yeah, I think I don't mean to be super overcritical, but I'm going to give this one a 1 because for me, the framing of it is not like the composing of this statue is not minimal to me. The photo itself, I think the flowers are distracting. It's like a lot going on there. I could totally imagine this photo where it's like more negative. If there was more negative wall space around the statue, just framing up just the top half of the statues with like more blank space would have worked, and maybe even black and white. Yeah, I would love to play around with this. So I feel bad giving a 1 star, but yeah, that's how I feel about that photo. All right, Nita. Oops, what is going on? Cancel. All right, don't want to download that. All right, Nita. This one is very similar in terms of like the colors, contrast, shapes of that other one we just saw with the pillars. I don't feel like it's as minimal, but the leading lines are really cool going down this tunnel. I think I'm going to give this one a 3. I don't have a lot of comments or critique about like the crop, the edit, the framing. Very creative. Minimally, there's like a lot going on with the shapes that it's not super minimalistic. And I think you probably could have got like a more creative, minimal type photo, like putting yourself right up against one of these walls and just like creatively like getting like the receding shapes somehow. Yeah. I don't really have other critique though. It's not a bad photo at all. I think it's just not as there's more going on than I want for like a very minimal photo. That's like my main critique for all these photos. All right, next we got Enrique. Ooh, nice. I like it. I dig it. It's very similar to that photo. I think it was the second photo we saw of the statue, of the back of a statue of like a lady or a mermaid. I don't know what it was, with the sky. I like the thank you, Dragon. Don't feel bad, sincere input makes us all become better. I like that you like cropped out the floor. You cropped out as much as possible to still have, I think you said it was your girlfriend's feet on here. I actually like the color. I don't think like a black and white edit is necessary for this. So very minimal. I don't really have much improvement for this, and I think it's a little bit more eye-catching to have like an actual human in your photo. It's also more work to take this photo than just a statue. So I'm gonna give you a 4 for that reason. Yeah, I mean, when you think of like, hey, take a minimal portrait of someone, this is great. This is amazing. So good job, Enrique. All right, Thomas. So this I love. I know some people are going to be like, why do you love that photo? It's like you can't even see what's happening. But when I think of minimal, this is what I think of. And the colors are a bit unique. Thomas likes to like have some really cool funky colors going on, and it's not natural, but I still appreciate it. I just love the like, I think Rosemary says it, I love the mood, the color and mood, and I think that's what works really well for me. I don't even need to have a single tree or something in focus, like one subject. I think it's just like the palette, the gradient of exposures that works well. And in terms of minimalism, I really dig this photo. So for me, 5 stars, Thomas. This one worked really well for me this week. All right, next we've got Melissa Ray. I think we've gone through enough photos for you to probably know what I'm going to say. I think there's just too much going on for this to actually be like a minimalist photo. Maybe you could frame this up, cropping out or framing out the bottom, the grass, maybe even the top of the building or the right side of the building, just to have it be a little bit cleaner. Maybe if it was like a creative crop of just like one face with like this cool like shadow silhouette that they have in this mural, that's really neat. But for this photo, I just don't think it's minimal. Focus is there, colors are cool, it's a nice location for a photo, but I think this is another 1 for me, 1 star. I would go back here if you can and just get creative with framing to see if you could get a more minimal photo. Even just like a photo of the wall without the actual paintings here that you see, but like the silhouette painting, just like that with like this cool color, some sort of like abstract framing over on the right hand side. Something like that might be cool. Mural's nice though. Go back and get it, Melissa. All right, Suzanne. The figure 8 knot. I like the textures. I like the focus. It is kind of minimal. I think I want less positive space or something to make it feel more minimal. So have this rope be a little smaller in the frame. I think you could also, if you had like a macro lens, be like even tighter on this knot and just like have like a bit of it in focus with the rest of it out of focus, and that would be more minimal. That being said, I like the black and white edit. I think it makes it more minimal than seeing the colors. Yeah, I think like it's a 3 for me. You completed the challenge. It feels pretty minimal, but I think maybe there's a way to frame up a knot in a more minimal way, I think. Suzanne says, I guess I failed to. No, not a fail. I think it's pretty minimal, but like, again, maybe it's just like a more creative crop or framing of this with more negative space. If this was like at the bottom of the frame or something. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All right, next we've got Carlos. Pretty good. Yeah, I think this for me like hits minimalism a bit more. And maybe I am conflating negative space with minimalism for some of these photos. Because I do like the negative space here, and it feels very minimal. I like the texture of the waves that you get. Maybe I wish that the duck was, or not, whatever bird this is, was facing the other way, or you were framing up with more space in front of the duck. That feels kind of more natural, but still like composition framed up very nicely. Like exposure's good. I don't have a ton of critique, so like I would actually say you like exceeded a bit because I don't have many notes for you. It's just not like that intriguing of a photo compared to some of the other ones. But still, really good job. All right, next we've got Arthur with this airplane. I actually like the framing within the frame, and it still makes it feel a bit more minimal. It still is minimal with this framing that you get there. And I think actually having that there, this frame in your frame, makes it way more interesting to look at than just if it was the airplane with all negative space sky. I think that just is not that interesting of a photo. So you made the photo more interesting with this framing. The focus is a little soft, I think, on the airplane, which is tough to capture. Exposure wise, it feels a little dark, so I'd probably maybe boost overall exposure, but especially on the plane, just a little bit. I can't tell if this is kind of close to nighttime or not, though. You see maybe the start of a star there. But I kind of like this like abstract framing that you get there. Everyone's enjoying the timing and the shot. Bullseye, Arthur, very well balanced. Nice. Yeah. I think maybe this is a 4 too for me. Really nice photo, nice framing. All right, next we've got Dragon. What a cool photo. It looks like almost unreal the way that this building stands up here. I really appreciate the symmetry. I appreciate the straight lines. I appreciate the spacing on the left, top, and right matching. So it feels very balanced. You get like this tiny, tiny building or thing down there that I would probably like use a healing brush or something to just remove that as a distraction. Yeah, it's different than the other ones in terms of feeling minimal. It does feel very minimal for me, even though there's a lot going on. It almost feels like this is like a weird like not real place because you just have the sky here and this building, but like the way the lighting and the arches, it's just like this cool pattern is really neat. Personally, I kind of wish there was a little more negative space. but I think the way you framed it up is actually pretty creative, and you didn't go, I think I I almost like appreciate that you didn't go for the easy way out of just framing this up with like the whole sky and being super negative space, because I think it's still pretty minimal. Gosh, I don't know what to do with this photo. What do you guys think it is? What rating would you give it? To me, there's like a lot going on that makes me feel like, is it very minimal? There's like all these windows, you got the statues down there, the text, but it feels minimal in a sense. I would give it a 4. Yeah. I think there's like a sense of not being minimal to me, but the building itself is so like simple yet beautiful that I think it's pushes it up to a 4 for me. All right, next we've got Cesar Guzman. Good attempt. Focus is not there. A little bit of maybe motion blur from like a slow shutter speed. I also feel like this bird, which looks like a really funky bird, I wish that this was in focus and wasn't so pushed to the side. It's almost too much negative space, or too pushed over to the corner. Mostly, though, I think it's just that the focus is not there, that I'm going to give this one a 2. I think the attempt there to have super negative space and be minimal, I appreciate, but because the focus isn't there, it's, it just doesn't totally work for me. All right, next we've got Anushka. This is cool. Interesting framing. I mean, lovely buildings to look at. I think that like there's probably a really cool photo in here where I don't know if it looks like you're on top of like the rooftop and you framed in this like pot and the front of this balcony. I probably would have just walked forward, not gotten this balcony in it, and just framed up the rest of these buildings with the sky very similar to how you have it. Or even like gotten super creative with it, and like if you had a zoom lens or a more telephoto lens, like zoomed into like a portion of these buildings, like I think you can see my mouse, just like this area right here, just so you have more little abstract shapes of these buildings, but photographed in a minimal way, because there's still a lot going on in this photo. But like the biggest thing is like this pot being in front of your frame, but it's underexposed, so it's just kind of like almost as if something is sitting in front of you, and you're trying to appreciate this view. But clean lines and colors are really nice. I'm gonna give you a 2. Similar, like I think the space and the place and the location is amazing, but sort of a missed opportunity by like having some foreground objects in there, and there's just like a lot going on. All right, next we've got, oh wait, was that it? Did I get everyone? Wow, I feel like I ran through those last ones pretty quickly actually. Wow, okay, we finished. Wow, I actually feel like we ended up with quite a bit of a solid spread there. We had some 1s, we had some 5s, we had some 3s, a bunch of 3s in the middle. So that is the minimalism photo challenge. Cool. Okay. Wow. I feel kind of caught off guard because I didn't think I felt like I had a bunch more photos. But that is the end of the show today. Let's see next week. Ooh, this is a tough one. More work. Portrait divided by light and shadow. And I think because this is such a specific challenge, not many of you are going to have a photo that works for this challenge that you could just post. So you're going to actually have to go out and do the work this week to take a photo. This little image here is just like an example of what you could do. Just some sort of portrait, get creative with it. with your lighting. Celeste says, yeah, please say a bit more about the portrait challenge. Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a lot of hard things going on with this photo or with this challenge because one, you got to put yourself out there, find someone to take a photo of. I'm hoping it's a person. It could be yourself even, but not like a statue or not just like an action figure or something like that. Maybe if worst comes to worst, you can do something like that, but really I want you to get out there. Put yourself out there, take a photo of someone, and you're going to need to have some sort of likely artificial lighting. You might be able to get away with this if like you can photograph it either with like really harsh sunlight from above or direct sunsetty light from the side. But you need harshish light to be able to get some sort of light and shadow. And I just want you to get creative with it to get some sort of vibe here. I don't really even want to go through. I'm not going to go through the submissions yet because I don't want to like distract, but it looks like just from the hint of that, other people have started practicing this. So use them as inspiration. Dragon says, no one wants to be a model, so not a Lego man. Does it have to be a person? I know. I don't want to do this challenge either. I don't want to put myself out there and have to get someone to take a photo of, but that is the challenge for this week. So hopefully you can do that. If you can't, find someone else, use yourself. If you really can't, maybe use a figurine, action figure or something to practice that kind of lighting. And in terms of like what lights you can use, if you have a flash, you can play around with that. If you have any sort of video light, you can play around with that. But if you don't, try with like a lamp. Get like a lamp. You're going to have to put it probably pretty close up to get and pretty side lighty or something. I think naturally having the light like more on the side than like up down is going to look more pleasing on your subject. And play around with the colors, whether that's in editing, but also when taking the photo, if you have like some sort of gels or something to get creative colors in your photos. I mean, aside from that, I think the biggest challenge is just getting the portrait with light and shadow. But what's going to take it to the next level, stand out 5 stars is your subject in an interesting location? Is there is the framing creative? Whether that's putting your subject with some foreground, background objects, framing within a frame, something like that to make it more creative. All right. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. For everyone in the supporters section, thank you again. Shout out to the supporters. If you're not a supporter, it's just a way, again, to keep the community running, to show your support for me getting out here every week and running the weekly challenges and everything like that. Another way you could support is I'm releasing the new AI for photographers course next week. It should be next week. There's just a little issue going on with Udemy. I'm going to launch it on Udemy this time. If you can, purchase it. It's only going to be like $10 for launch, but that really supports me. Once you take it, leave a review for the class. That also supports me as well. And yeah. I hope you're enjoying the Photography and Friends community. If you have any ideas, let us know how to improve it. But I think it's pretty exciting to see everyone's post there. The community is growing. We're getting dozens of new posts a day. And yeah, just very exciting. So have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week. And I will see you next time. Bye.